Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the peak-to-peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
The song that you are currently listening to is called $8,000 a Month, and it's written and performed by Wylie Jones. This is his second single, the first single of his being Not the Right Reasons. Both of those singles were released last year for wide release, and you can get them wherever you get your music. He's currently working on his debut album with drummer, producer, and recording engineer Mark LeBlanc. So to keep an eye out on Wylie Jones's musical career, be sure to head to his website at wyliejones.com. He'll be opening for and performing with Selasee and the Fafa Family very, very soon. More details coming at the end of the podcast. She'd rather have more money than family time. She wanted $8,000 a month on top of all my duty. $8,000 a month just to get to school days. $8,000 a month just to take her abuse. She wanted $8,000 a month just for me to be used. 'Cause she don't know love. Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to last week's episode of Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. Of course, I'm saying last week's because this was supposed to be out by Friday, and then last week got logistically complicated and a bit rough on my end, so now I am finally here to bring you last week's Music of the Mountains segment. However, this is going to be part one. Why? Because the last couple of days have still somehow been crazy. I thought I would have way more time to edit than I did, so only one interview is ready today. I will make sure to have the second interview for last week's Music of the Mountains up either tomorrow or Thursday. At this point, with my crazy schedule, I actually have no idea when I'll be able to finish it. But I will get that segment up this week, which means that you will be getting 4 segments of the Mountaineer Podcast this week. I promise that by Friday, we'll be right back on schedule. But right now, I just need to make sure that I get what I can out there. You guys might already know which act we'll be focusing on for this 2-part segment of Music of the Mountains. I announced them in the previous segment of the podcast, which was uploaded on Friday, an audio library segment of an article that I wrote a few years back. So if you want to check out that audio library segment, then check out the previous episode of the podcast. Now that we're here, though, hopefully you've gotten a chance to actually read the column for yourself in the Mountaineer newspaper. If you haven't, our website is no longer completely free of charge. Of course, there are still free articles that you can check out, but if you want full access to the mtnear.com, the digital archives that are available on that website, and the scanned copies of the physical newspaper that are available, maybe you even want a physical copy of the newspaper delivered directly to your mailbox, then be sure to subscribe to the Mountaineer today. Any subscription is much appreciated, and stick around to the very, very end of the podcast, the outro of the podcast, for a special discount for listeners of the podcast. Speaking of the website, though, here's a quick message brought to you by the Mountaineer.
At the Mountaineer, we have been working hard on our new website. The new site is up, and through November, it is completely free to check out. That's located at www.themountaineer.com. Are you interested in advertising? The Mountaineer has advertising in print, on our website, through our social media. We have 3 guides each year, coupon insertions, and more. Want more information? Email marketing@themountaineer.com or give Bethany a call at 720-960-2900.
Okay, one more thing before we jump into the interview for this segment. This week's movie at the Backdoor Theater. Of course, usually this episode would be where we put our music mentions, but to make sure they got out on time, I included them in the previous segment of the podcast instead. So the music mentions will not be in this particular episode of Music of the Mountains. I'll put them back in for this week's regularly scheduled episode. Anyway, this week's movie at the Backdoor Theater is Gladiator 2, rated R. Here is the logline provided by the Backdoor Theater. After his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum and must look to his past to find strength to return the glory of Rome to its people. Be sure to check out this epic sequel by heading to the Backdoor Theater, located in the Nederland Community Center at 750 North Highway 72 in Nederland on Friday, December 13th, starting at 7 p.m., on Saturday, September 14th, starting at 2 p.m. for an open caption matinee, or on December 14th, starting at 7 p.m. for a great time at the movies. All right, let's get into part 1 of 2 of last week's Music of the Mountains segment. Our guest this part, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Hey, my name is Wylie Jones.
And you will be performing at the Caribou Room very soon.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I love the room. I love the sound. It's like the best sound around. I love Danny that runs the show over there, or books, and I don't know all the hats he wears, but top shelf man and top shelf room, and love Selasee, the Fafa Family, and I love to play with them as well. I'll be playing keys with them that night. It was really cool after my set, and yeah.
I don't know if I've actually interviewed an act who's playing at the Caribou Room yet, who is not only opening the whole night, but who will then be joining the main act. And the main act is Selasee and the Fafa Family. Of course, we'll be talking more about them in the next interview. For now, though, I want to focus on you, Wylie. How did your love of music and musical career as a whole start?
I have music in my blood, thankfully, which is really awesome. Yes, from my uncle and maybe the universe, I don't know. But from a really young age, I was moved by music and could feel it. Yeah, and then started singing in church, like lots of folks, and started taking piano lessons until I heard Kirk, Hammett, and Jimmy Page play guitar, and then I was like, no, I need to play guitar, man. I was like, screw the piano. And then I played guitar for many years. I co-fronted a band back in Virginia called Antero reggae band with my brother Mighty Joshua, and when Mighty split off to do a solo project called Mighty Joshua in Design Number 5, I picked the keyboards back up again and started playing keys for him. And then one day when I was rehearsing, I was like, man, this thing has drums on it, this keyboard. And I was like, if I had a bass guitar and a loop pedal, I could make all the sounds, Because me and my ex-wife, wife at the time, I guess, were planning on moving for her to go to grad school, and we weren't sure where we were going to go. So I wanted to have something where I could start performing immediately once we got there, and not have to build a band from the ground up again. I know how much work it is. So yeah, the group thing just started taking off as a way for me to barely make the ends meet playing music. It wasn't enough for my ex-wife, unfortunately, Couldn't make that $8,000 a month to keep the family together. Song about that now out there called $8,000 a month. You can check out on Spotify. And yeah, music has mainly been just a way for me to survive emotionally through a childhood that was definitely not ideal, and the society that I live in now that is not ideal for me as a human, So it's a way for me to express my feelings and let out my rage and anger, sadness, and also my joy and happiness. And it brings me a lot of joy and happiness to play. Yeah. I'm very thankful for the music, man. Don't think I would be here still if it wasn't for the music.
I want to take a second just to talk a little bit more about Joshua Dowell-Achalam, otherwise known as Mighty Joshua. A 2013 article from Style Weekly written by Brent Baldwin and with the headline Mighty Debut refers to Mighty Joshua as a Richmond reggae veteran. He has been playing reggae in the area for decades. And Richmond Magazine published an article written by Roby Martin in 2016 called Mighty Joshua Kicks Off Friday Cheers, in which they mentioned that he has become such a legend in the Virginia reggae scene that he was named a Virginia Reggae Ambassador in 2015. As Wylie just mentioned, when Antero, spelled Antero, split off, Mighty Joshua ended up focusing on his own spin-off group, Mighty Joshua and the Zion Number 5, sharing the name of the City of Holiness referenced in the Bible. And of course, Mighty Joshua has also focused on his own solo performances and released a few solo albums himself. To learn more about him as a musician, head to his website, mightyjoshua.com. But of course, as Wylie mentioned, he's no longer in Virginia. He ended up moving with his now ex-wife here to Colorado, and he now can play solo shows on his own with the use of a loop pedal. I'm curious about your writing process, Wylie. When did you start writing material, and what are your constant processes in writing?
Really, writing for me, it's not something that I've made a habit or a practice or a discipline out of. It's something that has just come from an emotional need. I remember back during the Iraq, what they called war, where we killed 1 million Iraqis for no good reason. I would go and I would be so angry that I would literally be ready to blow something up myself. But I can't do that because I love people. So I would just sit and smoke some herb and press record on the tape player and just let it come out, and then just pick out what I could and make songs out of that. And then once I had kids and was kind of distracted from the world, was kind of just living in my own little world like most people do, unfortunately, I had my eyes and ears off of all these terrible things that our country does and that other countries do and that corporations and businesses do to make the world a terrible place for a lot of humans that deserve to be free and live in dignity and without fear. And so now that I'm not married anymore, I'm still loving my children, but I've been less distracted about family life and seeing more of what's going on in the world again that's completely unjust and unhuman. That's what bothers me, is it's a lack of humanity that I find within the world and within my culture and people I know personally that just don't care, man, about other humans. They just care about themselves and about money, and it's really disheartening and sad, you know, and it makes me really not want to even participate, to be honest, but I have these kids that I need to provide for, so that's why I participate in society. Personally, I've been very lucky and it's taken a lot of work, but I got to hike, spend a lot of time in the wilderness, backpacking, and I do hike the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, Colorado Trail a couple of times, and living life like that has taught me to be very, very thankful for everything and live in the moment and not be all wanty about things, and love that life so much, you know, living in the moment and being thankful and using my body and being physically fit and doing that with other humans that are focused on the things in life that are really important, you know. I look forward to getting back to that once the kids are grown. No hurry for that, but yeah.
Of course, you mentioned at the beginning of this interview that music is in your blood, and so it sounds like the performance of the music, the writing of the music, everything about embracing music as a whole is, in a way, the lifeblood that keeps you going.
Yeah, it helps me keep me going emotionally and barely pays my bills too, you know. But I'm thankful that I do what I do to make money, provide joy for people, and not hurting anybody, and not taking from anyone to lift myself up.
So here's the funny thing. I actually ended up interviewing our next guest first. I interviewed him on November 26, 2024. I interviewed Wylie 2 days later on November 28th. Thanksgiving Thursday. I asked our next guest about what kind of music he focused on. So I asked Wylie if he considered his own style of music similar to Selasee and the Fafa Family style of music. And just generally, what is the style of music that you perform?
I play reggae music pretty strictly. Music that has saved my life and that could save the world if people will listen to it, you know. And so, yeah, everything I play when I play out is strictly reggae. But I did, 1.5 years ago, strangely fell in love with Charlie Crockett, the honky tonk singer. And been listening to him a whole lot and been playing a lot of his songs, reggae style. And I play a lot of country songs, reggae style. It's been fun, too.
What's been great about performing for audiences over the years? Performing and sharing reggae music with a crowd of people?
Oh, man, seeing smiles on people's faces, man. Seeing the youth, seeing the kids happy, dancing. This joy, man, the love, which is the most important things in life. In the community, you know, getting to play with other beautiful people, you know.
So even though you focused a lot more on your solo stuff over the years, you've played with a couple of groups, including with Mighty Joshua and the Zion Number 5, and now with Selasee and the Fafa Family. So is there an aspect of performing that you like better? Performing solo, performing with a group? Are there pros and cons to both?
I love to be in a community, like a family of people that I like to play music with. I love playing with Selasee and the Fafa Family. I love playing with Chala. I love playing with Mighty Joshua and the Zion Number 5. Justice on the Limits, Wake Up and Live, The Reminders. So many bands I've gotten to play with, and so thankful for all those opportunities. And typically, it's a funner night when you're not alone, when you have people to hang with and talk to and play with. But a lot of times I do really get to go really deep and just get out there when I'm playing by myself. But I'm a little bit older in age. I used to do construction work a little bit, but kind of a little bit over that, even though it's really fun to do sometimes. But it's hard to make money with bands. And so that's really been the biggest driver of me playing by myself, is that I can actually do what I love to do and barely survive. Hopefully I'll be able to keep surviving, because I don't know what else I would do other than play music, Hopefully I'm not a hobo sooner than I want to be. We'll see what happens.
And since you moved out of Virginia, are you still based in Colorado?
Yeah, I'm based in Conifer, Colorado, and hope to live in Conifer until the kids are grown, and then, I'll be in constant moving flux after that, backpacking and traveling, playing music. But Colorado will always be my home base, even though the people back in Virginia will always be kind of my people home, or one of my people homes. The land here, in the mountains of Colorado will always be, that's where my soul's at, will always be.
What has stuck out to you about performing in Colorado as a whole? The Colorado music scene, being a part of the Colorado music scene. What stuck out to you?
Yeah, people really love music here. They really appreciate music here. And getting to play outside here is just what an incredible treat, It's so gorgeous.
And is there anything that you hope audience members will be able to take away from your shows when they come and see you? Is there anything that you hope people will take away from the music that you have to share?
Humanity, if they don't already have it, and peace and love, man, and gratitude. Just like today, Thanksgiving, every single day is Thanksgiving, man. I'm so thankful to have this practice of gratitude that I've been in for a long time, I guess really since 2005, I got to hike the Appalachian Trail with very, very little money, very little resources. I don't know how few showers I took that year, but I was hungry. I felt what it was like to be hungry and not have food, which was definitely really eye-opening. And I was there on my own accord, of course. I should have not been there. But thankfulness. I think it's something that a lot of people miss out on because, all right, we got the oven off. I don't know. I think just culturally, we're taught to be selfish and to like me. And so when you're like that, it's hard to be thankful because you're always trying to grasp at the next thing or to get more and whatever it is that you feel like you want or need. And I'll be thankful for everything all the time, man. Because if you don't, then you're just gonna never be happy.
So, Wylie, you now have 2 songs out. As of 2023, you have 2 solo singles out. You talked about one earlier, but I would like to ask about both. You want to talk a little bit about both?
Sure. Yeah, I've written a lot of music in the past that aren't released out on digital platforms or written back in like 06 and 07. But unfortunately, I learned a lesson here. Those 2 songs are both about my divorce from 2.5 years ago that I'm kind of over. And I don't sing the songs or didn't really want to think about them too much, because it wasn't something that I wanted or would ever want. And I don't understand why people don't want to see the kids every day, man. It's really insane. I don't understand why so many marriages end in divorce. It seems like most people don't have their priorities set really straight. Seems like money is more important than anything else to so many people, and it's sad. But yeah, that's what those 2 songs are about. $8,000 a month was about my ex's demand for me to make $8,000 a month to keep the family together. And obviously, as a reggae musician, probably not happening unless you're, nationally touring acts. And then the other song, Not the Right Reasons, was about the same thing. And hopefully, despite me not being huge, I'm a fan of the songs. They feel like they sound good, but I hope they'll provide something for someone out there someday. They haven't already.
I really do feel that plenty of people will connect to the songs that you have out. But since you don't love going back to those songs quite as much, let's talk about what's happening in your future, specifically with the Caribou Room show. What are you most looking forward to about that show? What are you most excited about?
I'm really excited about the room itself, the sound. It's just top shelf and state of the art. And I'm really excited to play keys with Selasee and the Fafa Family because I love the band, I love the music, I love the message and the people. And I hope it's a huge night. I hope it's a big, big, big night. The more the merrier.
And is there just anything else in general about things coming up for you musically or in your personal life or anything else that you just want to add before we move on to our next guest?
Oh man, I'm really excited to have just celebrated a year not drinking alcohol, which has been really amazing for me. As a musician, always available all the time, usually for free or cheap. And as I've been aging, definitely not been adding to my life and for my future that I'm planning. Definitely important for me to have my health. My health is my wealth, No amount of money can buy you health if you're sick, not living right. So definitely happy about that and happy for that to show through, in my performances these days. No more getting faded by the end of the night, Really happy about that. And just thankful in general to have more gigs this winter and last, hopefully playing against some more. Really thankful to have the music. Don't know what I'd do without it.
Thank you so much, Wylie for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. As he mentioned earlier, he will be opening for and then performing with Selasee and the Fafa Family at the Caribou Room very soon. That performance, presented by the Caribou Room and KGNU, will be performed on Friday, December 13th at 55 Indian Peaks Drive in Nederland. Doors open and dinner starts at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8 p.m. To get tickets now, be sure to head over to thecaribouroom.com to make sure that you're ready to see Selasee and the Fafa Family and Wylie Jones performing live. You can currently stream Wylie Jones's first two singles, Not the Right Reasons and $8,000 a month, wherever you get your music. He is currently working on his debut album with drummer, producer, and recording engineer Mark LeBlanc, so be sure to keep your eyes and ears out for that release. To keep an eye out on Wylie Jones and his musical career, be sure to head to his website at wyliejones.com, and to learn more about Selasee and the Fafa Family, be sure to check out part 2 of last week's Music of the Mountains in a couple of days. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to this week's first of many segments of the Mountaineer podcast. We really appreciate you tuning in if this is your first time tuning in, or if you've been tuning in for months, years, however long. If you want to continue supporting the podcast and share it around with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to the mtnear.com and scroll near to the bottom, or head to our podcast main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com to view our full archive. If you want to be featured in the podcast in some way, if you want to be involved, whether you have something you want to promote, or you want to be interviewed, or you want to interview somebody, or you have advertising that you want to share, or you have a story that you want to share, if you want to be involved in the podcast in any way, shape, or form, and you're involved in the Peak to Peak area, then email me at media@themountaineer.com, and we will get something sorted for you. I will see you guys very soon with whatever segment is coming out in the next couple of days. We'll figure it out. We'll get back on track on Friday. But for now, I'll see you in the very near future. Have a great rest of your day. Mountaineer subscribers, you've all sent in your beautiful, amazing, incredible pets. And now it's time for the community at large to decide who will win the honor of being the 2024 Mountaineer Pet of the Year. Be sure to head to the mtnear.com and click on the first thing that pops up to vote now. Voting closes on Sunday, December 15th, so get your vote in while you can. The song that you are currently listening to is called Not the Right Reasons, and it is written and performed by Wylie Jones. In fact, it's his debut wide-release single, and you can stream that song along with $8,000 a month wherever you get your music. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for his debut album with drummer, producer, and recording engineer Mark LeBlanc. To keep up with his musical endeavors, be sure to check out his website at wyliejones.com. He'll be opening for and performing with Selasee and the Fafa Family at the Caribou Room, located at 55 Indian Peaks Drive in Nederland, on Friday, December 13th, with doors opening and dinner starting at 7 p.m. and the show starting at 8 p.m. To get your tickets now, head to thecaribouroom.com.
You're not supposed to take them. You're not supposed to take them and mash them apart. How could you mash them apart?
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.